Hello everybody, I'm Brian from Orchids by Brian, and today I am at the Tamiami International Orchid Festival in Miami, Florida, and I'm going to show you every single plant vendor at the show. So without further ado, let's go check out what they have in bloom at Tamiami. Okay, we're going to start here at Plant Madness. They have beautiful Monstera plants. You're going to get a whole variety of orchids here at the Tamiami International Orchid Festival. Really great species and hybrids of all different kinds. If you like Ecuadorquideas, especially mounted orchids, that's one thing I love about this show. From the international vendors to these vendors from the States, range from mounted plants to hanging orchids. Let's go over this way and take a peek inside. Look at all their Vandas. Look at these gorgeous Vandas. My gosh. These are really pretty plants. Very impressive display. Plant Madness. So I am going to do my best to highlight every single vendor at Tamiami this year. That's my goal. It will most surely be a multi-part video, but just give you an idea of the orchids in bloom. Look at this flower. You're going to see things that you've never seen before. And to say this show is impressive, spectacular, amazing, unbelievable would be an understatement of a lifetime. It is out of this world, incomparable. I have never been to an orchid show quite like this. This is the largest in the United States of America. It makes sense. And look at above. There's Vandas everywhere. Really, really incredible. And of course, you're going to get a variety of plants here, from aroids to Hoyas to orchids, of course. Even I found some neotropical blueberries. If you follow me, you definitely have seen my love for Spirosperma buxifolium. But really, really special place. Okay, this is Plant Madness. And this is Martin's Nursery. Wonderful. Variety of plants. Really, really special place. These guys are located here in Florida. So if you're local, definitely pay a visit. Look at these Phalaenopsis. Really gorgeous plants. You have Tolumnias down here. Great selection of Tolumnias. I'm going to do my best to highlight as many flowers as I can, especially of note highlighting the orchids that are just really unique. Let's go over here and see the Cattleyas that they have out in front. Look at these. Look at this. That is amazing. Really, really gorgeous plants. Look at this one. This is the sample. Now this one I think is really special. Let's see, this one. There you go. There's the name. Look at the flares. Wow. So pretty. I love their stuff. Like, The variety of orchids you're going to see today far exceeds anything I've shown you before. Florida's very lucky to have these kinds of growers here and be able to enjoy the blooms at all different kinds of nurseries. I had an opportunity to visit several in my short time here in Florida, but what a place. This is Martin's Nursery. Okay, here's another vendor specializing here obviously in Vanda orchids and aeroids. You can see just a variety of Vandas in just about every single color. You have the white and green, and they even have these like speckled colored Vandas, and all of them have a name. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to highlight all of them here today, but I will highlight the flowers. Hopefully you can appreciate just the scale of this show. There's just no way I'm going to be able to do this place justice. You have to come and visit. This is my first time at Tamiami, and it is incredible. So you won't be disappointed. And of course you can see more of their aeroids over here. Really, really nice. Okay. And this right here is Croll Orchids Nursery, one of the international vendors here at Tamiami, one of many international vendors. You can see they have great oncidiums, and their prices are amazing. $25 oncidium Aloha, Iwanaga Trilobello, and they have some really different plants that I've never seen here before. Like a really fantastic variety of orchids from the international vendors. Like, look at this. I've never seen a plant like this quite before. Like, that is really pretty. And they have Parafadinia Juraj Koj. That's a very gorgeous plant. Wow. Fragrant. Some more Vanda type orchids over here. They even have,
where it says ghost.
Oops, over here.
Thank you.
Aska Centrum. Christian Sofanum.
Let me go ask
Wow. Spectacular. Really nice. And of course, just like I said, Vanda orchids, Rincon Stylus, if you want to add to your collection. Here's Epidendrum Porpax. And look at the size. These are huge, huge pieces. Like, they will definitely be fantastic additions to your collection. I'm going to do my best to highlight these folks when they're not busy. Like I said, I'm going to kind of make my way through and show you as much as I can. Here's some of their larger dendrobiums that they have here in Collagenys. Dendrobium fimbriatum. And Collageny brachyptera. Only $30. And Collageny rochessenii, which is a spectacular orchid. You can see, amazing plant. And they even have the ghost orchid. Dendrophylax lindenii, native to here in Florida. Here's some more. You can see just the variety of plants from bulbophyllums, dendrobiums, to orchids you might have never even heard of. And they also have these wonderful little terracotta sculptures with plants mounted on them, which is super cute. Only $40 for those, but look at this. That's really, really unique. Great selection of bulbophyllums. Now we're going to stop by this booth. Some of my favorite people. This is Waldor Orchids. What an impressive booth. See some of my viewers here at Tamiami is so exciting. I love it. Look at all the blooms. I don't need to say much about Waldor. You know why Waldor is amazing. Look at these incredible flowers. Wow. Gotta love Waldor Orchids and all their amazing blooms. My home nursery, not too far from where I live. I get to go and visit them often and bring amazing tours of this place to my viewers. Highlight the stunning cattleyas that they're known for. Now this is one that I have in my collection. They have it here at Tamiami. This is the Momelani Rainbow. This is a really special plant. It blooms numerous flowers. The flares are so delicate. It's really, really nice. I mean, here it's a little dark, but even more blooms. As high, as tall as I can see. We love Waldor Orchids. If you want to see their nursery and some of the other blooms that they have at Waldor, watch some of the tours on the channel. Now here we have some rare Hoyas. Some love Hoyas. Many different varieties. I'm not very aware of much about Hoyas. I don't know very much. There's always things to learn, but they also have aeroids and other tropical house plants that you can add to your collection here at the Tamiami International Orchid Festival. And we'll keep going over this way. These are the booth I went to first here. This is Ecuadorquideas. And they have also incredible aeroids and house plants, terrarium plants of all different kinds. And what I love particularly about this booth is their miniature orchids. Look at their miniatures, tons and tons and tons of Lepanthes. If you love Lepanthes, they have some Lepanthes I've never heard of before, very rare. Lepanthes jubata, F, or Tiziana. We also have Masdevallias and Draculas. Here's a Dryadella Simula. Stellis, Platistelli, Phophilia. Like, look at these orchids, so phenomenal. And the plants are very healthy. I picked up a couple plants from these guys when I first got here, but they have Masdevallia cuculata, Masdevallia platagosa, $20, which is a great deal. And of course they have larger orchids over here. Maxillarias and Trichophila. Really, really nice. This is Ecuadorquideas. Alright, now, a place that needs no introduction, my friends at Croll Smith. Croll Smith Orchids, they have some Liparis and Neotropical, but of course known for their variety of genera, specifically though, their Cattleya orchids. You can see all of the different colors of the rainbow. I did a tour in November of Croll Smith Orchids, so if you missed it, check it out. Picked up some beautiful plants while I was there, and I always love visiting their nursery when I make my way to Orlando. Look at these Cattleyas. Oh my gosh. Now I'm doing this video here on Friday, opening day of the Tamiami International Orchid Festival. So you're going to see a pretty stellar variety of plants here. Great selection of miniature orchids. All different colors. There's a very delicate purple. And over here, look at these. I love it. And this one's beautiful too. Wow. Cattleya Orchid Glade SVO by Cattleya Angel Eyes SVO. Our friends at Sunset Valley Orchids, who we'll see a little bit later on. But look at all of these flowers. Gosh, that is beautiful. I'm going to go over here and see if you can take a peek at these. Are sort of their larger Cattleyas. Really great variety. And even some mini mark. Phalaenopsis mini mark. Some of them are in bud on the way. They have some beautiful blooms. Look at this. Wow. Really, really gorgeous flowers here. This is great.
With the bud, yeah, I got it.
You will not be disappointed here at Croll Smith. Okay, I'm coming in here with a voiceover because the music in the background actually became a little bit overwhelming and you could hear it clear enough for it to be a risk of a copyright. But anyway, this is still Croll Smith Orchids booth. Look at these amazing Patinara Heaven's Gate, one of Croll Smith's most iconic orchid hybrids. It is a beautiful deep red color that this video just doesn't do justice. This is one of their other Cattleyas, a beautiful cream, green, yellow orchid flower. Croll Smith's nursery is amazing. They have flowers like this in their showroom, and it is absolutely incredible. You cannot go wrong with visiting this place. I mean, I've been able to visit a couple times, and I am continually amazed. They also brought a selection of Vanda orchids, and these were picked over by the end of the Tamiami International Orchid Festival. And you can see why, from gorgeous purple blue colored Vandas to the white and cream almost color block cut in half, yellow and white. And then of course these iconic super fragrant orchids. I forget if it's Mimi Palmer or Tessellata. It has Tessellata in it, I'm pretty sure. But really pretty plants. I'm definitely not an expert in growing Vandas, but I've learned a lot over this trip, for sure. There was plenty of Vandas, plenty of names that I'm now familiar with when it comes to these gorgeous plants. Now, over here, this is where the display area of Tamiami is. An amazing display, several water features, and awarded orchids that were presented by the vendors and some local orchid societies as well. So really pretty stuff. This was one of my favorite vendors that I was able to stop at. This is Joseph Wu Orchids. They had several Phalaenopsis that were in bloom, some that I've never seen in the United States before. These are brand new hybrids, many of which fragrant. This was one that reminded me of Tetrapsis. And of course they had some Violacea hybrids and True Violacea, True Ludemaniana. And of course this gorgeous flower. I mean, look at that. Absolutely stunning. That was one that I picked up for my collection. And super fragrant. Very fragrant flower. Look at that. Pyloric as well. You can find Pyloric Phalaenopsis, meaning that the labellum is mimicked in two of the petals. Very unique to see. And especially, they had several varieties of Pyloric Phalaenopsis here. Of course, they had Alba variants of some of their phals and other select genera as well, like Cattleyas, Oncidiums. They had some Sophronitis, some species that were exclusive to Joseph Wu Orchids. It was a really special booth. I had an opportunity to visit this booth on the last day and pick up a couple of flowers, but you can see that they had plants full of spikes. I'd say most of the orchids that they had there were in spike or in flower. And they even had species as well, like Stuartiana, Michelitzii, they had Schilleriana. So a great variety if you're a species specialist. There's the Schilleriana that they have available, and then some of the other orchids, the Sophronitis, and like I said, you're going to see orchids that you've probably never seen before at this show, and you'll be surprised. You'll definitely leave with plants that you've never heard of, but we'll be excited to learn how to grow in your collection. Next is Planto la Orchidia, and they specialize in Venezuelan orchids. Look at this stunning plant. Absolutely beautiful cattleyas here. This was my favorite cattleya that they had at the show, and watching through this recording of Tamiami, I'm honestly regretting not picking it up, even though I probably don't have the room in my grow tent for all those roots. I mean, look at those roots. Beautiful, beautiful cattleya orchid at a great price for a very well-established plant. And they had several cattleyas available, some hybrids, some species at the show. You can see the variety from a nice pale white with purple lip. There's yellow, orange, dark red. They also had Oncidium orchids available and cattleyas with flares. So they really ran the gambit on orchids at this show. Many of the vendors had a great variety of plants. And of course, check out this Schomburgkia. This plant is humongous. And it has several spikes, so I can't even imagine what it looks like when it is in full bloom. And they also had secret boxes. They call it secret things, where you can buy a box for I think $100, had 10 plants in it, and you can see what you get, like a mystery box. Here's another beautiful, beautiful plant. Several different cattleya varieties. Some even bear root. So if you're the type of person that goes to these shows and comes home and immediately repots, they make it very easy for you if you're looking for bare root divisions of some of their orchids. And of course, more classic Oncidiums from Planto la Orchidia. I love the international vendors and these vendors that specialize in different orchids from different parts of the world. It's very exciting, and it helps you to appreciate the variety of plants that exist all throughout this beautiful planet. It is captured here at this show. This is BL Orchids. Look at this booth. Amazing selection of Vanda orchids. They had several Rinchenstylus gigantea. They had, of course, traditional Vandas, Rinchenstylus. They had Ascocentrum, all different colors. I'd say that the Rinchenstylus gigantea was definitely the plant that you saw the most often at this show. There was no shortage of gigantea to pick from. But look at these beautiful Vandas, some compact, some larger growing. Here I think is a Renanthera. Again, not an expert at Vanda orchids. I've mixed that name up before, but it's still beautiful. Sun-loving orchids that grow very, very well in sunny Florida, especially in Miami. I know several friends down there that grow orchids in Miami, and they grow like a weed. This is definitely a Renanthera. This one I am for sure confident that this is a Renanthera. Super dark red flowers, and you can see here's a Vanda variety below it with wonderful orange flowers and a pink lip. Definitely many varieties of Vandas. They had some in pots, some bare root, some in baskets, and you had your picking of any color you can possibly think of when it comes to adding an orchid to your collection. So look at that pink. My gosh. And of course, Alba varieties, some yellow, cream colored, and they stretched all the way to the ceiling. Now over here is another selection of bulbophyllum. It's always great to see bulbophyllums well represented. Of course, they also had Encyclia tempensis, wonderful native orchid to Florida. And then they had some very rare, unique bulbophyllums. I think that's Carunculatum. They had hybrid Arfacianum and many other varieties of bulbophyllums. But I feel like there was a great showing of bulbophyllums at this show. If you collect these orchids, you're definitely going to have your hand pick selection. Here's a beautiful catasetum, a black orchid for Clarkiara. Wow, what a beautiful plant. Of course, created at the awesome nursery that is Sunset Valley Orchids in California. Here's a gorgeous Cattleya walkeriana, possibly rubra, I think. The sort of pink variety is rubra. And there's a beautiful Vanda as well. Look at that. I think that was the first time I saw a Vanda orchid like that at the show this year. Really, really pretty. But more Cattleya orchids. They had very helpful signs. You know, you could try your hand at some rare orchids. This one I liked particularly because it had Laelia brigeri, and it was crossed with I think a Violacea, and so it has that small stature, but the flowers are variegated, or I should say they have flares and stay very small. So this is Gemini Orchids, and they had a great selection of plants for folks at Tamiami. Really, really nice place. Would love to visit their nursery, especially seeing that they're creating some new hybrids with their with Laelias, rubiculus Laelias, compact growers. I wanted to show this. This is a Mormoclea, and I've seen this at Littlebrook Orchids, but I have never seen a specimen plant quite as large as this. I mean, that plant was absolutely massive. Clearly grown well and happy, but wonderful plant. Tends to bloom constantly with those little yellow flowers. And then, of course, over here we had some Oncidium Sherry Baby smelling like chocolate. Delicious fragrance on that Oncidium. Grows like a weed. Of course, very popular in sunny and warm locations. So, Gemini Orchids had a really great selection from Cattleyas to Catasetums to Bulbophyllums and some other rare varieties. Next is my friends at Tropical Exotic. They always have a wide variety of orchids not commonly seen in the United States of America. This is their Dendrobium section. They had probably a dozen different types of Dendrobiums. You can see a few of those there, ranging in all different colors from flares to yellow to pink. Different type of leaves. Some that drop all their leaves are deciduous, some that don't. So they brought some excellent stuff. Look at that. Such weird orchids. Weird in the best way possible. What a place. So excuse my hand. Amateur move. Here's some staghorn ferns that they also had available. Growing, and then right next to those are some Cheiloschista, which are, of course, leafless orchids, and you can see some of them were in spike. So pretty neat. They don't produce any leaves ever, and then they just send up spikes with flowers, and the flowers are really pretty, delicate little flowers that there's several on a spike. So on this side over here were the bulbophyllums, and this is where I tend to do my damage buying bulbophyllums. They have some very unique bulbophyllums at the show. They had Bulbophyllum pardillatum. They had some Suripetallum, which have those long kind of dangling tails. Of course, other varieties too of Vandas like Renantheras and Vandas. This Bulbophyllum Cowiniorum is one that I added to my collection last year at Cipos. So, and of course, you can also buy plants that are in bud and flower as well. You just have to dig through all those boxes to see the treasures you can find within. So, Tropical Exotic is a great international vendor to check out. All right, here they are, my favorite boys, Sunset Valley Orchids. Carlos was holding down the fort at Tamiami, showing off some of their amazing Cattleya hybrids that they are known internationally for. They have orchids with flares, spots. Gosh, they run every single color: red, yellow, green, purple, white. I picked up 2 Cattleya hybrids from Sunset Valley Orchids, a green one with speckles, and then, of course, a very pink, almost rose-colored flower. But they have really, really great stuff. I can't stress it enough. And then, of course, for Catasetum lovers, they have several varieties, several hybrid Catasetums, but are known most notably for the Fredclarkiara, the black orchid. So that is this is the place that you can pick those up. So if that's a plant that interests you, definitely check out Sunset Valley Orchids. You can order plants online, and they'll be releasing their 2025 stock of brand new hybrids in just a few weeks. But look at these flowers. They brought some blooming orchids as well. Really, really pretty plants. Look at this orange with the red lip. So delicate. And most of them compact growing, which is really great for someone like me who doesn't have very much space, but still want lots of color and flowers in their grow tent. So Sunset Valley Orchids, beautiful spot. And of course, here's one of those Catasetums that they're known for. Wonderful little plants. Okay, now heading over to the next booth. This booth had a great variety of bromeliads. Tillandsias, I forget the name now. Gosh, now I'm forgetting it. But yeah, I know Tillandsia, airplant bromeliads. But I believe it's Bellow Tropicals. Look at the size of these bromeliads that you can buy here. These are specimen size bromeliads and tropical plants from this vendor. Very, very impressive. Now, the next booth here is AWZ Orchids. They're based in Florida. And, of course, check out this Rinkenstylus gigantea. Wow. Like a chandelier of beautiful pink flowers. Of course, this is a sample plant, but they had several that you could purchase at the show and add to your collection. There's that variety right there. So if folks wanted them, these were pretty much sold out by the time the show ended, and I'm not surprised. They are really, really pretty. They also had Vandas in pots, and then some Dendrobium anosmum. I think those are anosmums. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an expert on Dendrobiums either. I don't grow very many of them, except for Cuthbertsoni, but they're beautiful. Here's some Angrecum, Oncidiums, and more Vanda orchids as well. That I think is either epidendrums or encyclia. I think they're epidendrums. So they had a pretty cool selection. And then, of course, this is the Cattleya that caught my eye from a mile away. I didn't end up adding it to my collection. Somebody else beat me to it. But I am a sucker for pink and purple flared Cattleyas on white. I don't know what it is, but my eyes are just drawn to it. They're really pretty, really, really pretty plants. Here's some more of their Vanda orchids, and they had several in bloom and bud, a beautiful purple flower. Now, after this, we transitioned into the inner part of their booth, where they had several other species. Right here, they had Dendrobium laevifolium, the pink variety. Very easy to grow orchid, and it blooms for a very long time. Here's a beautiful yellow or orange and red flared Cattleya. I really liked how they mounted their plants on these plates. Here's, of course, Digbyana with that classic frilly lip. But look at these plants that are mounted on the plates. These are very cool design. I like how they have these laid out. If I had a vertical grow space, I'd definitely be growing on plates like this. They seem very happy, and the roots were super healthy, white, and gorgeous roots. Here is the plants at the Orchid Den. Orchid Den had another great booth with many cattleyas, dendrobiums, oncidiums, paphiopedilums. Look at these bulldog paths. Lots of bulldog paths at the show this year. And the Orchid Den is a great place located North Florida. And look at that splash petal dendrobium. The dendrobiums in Florida grow so well. Gotta love the dendrobiums. These are very, very pretty plants. I would love to grow them. And then here, of course, is a Epidendrum Rene Marquis. Classic epidendrum hybrid with beautiful multicolored flowers. Over here were several other Cattleya hybrids that you can add to your collection, including some with flares like this one with the yellow and white flares with the red lip. And then to the right, I'm going to show you one of the most amazing plants at the booth. Check this Walkeriana hybrid. It wasn't a Walkeriana, but it had Walkeriana in its background. Look at the pink on the petals. It was almost like painted on there. What a plant. Really, really, really pretty. I had a hard time getting to the tag, but you can see the name there. What a beautiful, beautiful piece. They had two plants available. That one on the left, though, had 4 flowers, and what a show. And it was super fragrant as well. Back here, of course, some more dendrobiums and oncidiums and Rinkenstylus gigantea in all the classic colors. So, very popular plant, clearly. They sold very, very quickly. And here's some more large dendrobiums at the Orchid Den. Great booth with all different size plants too, so you're not limited to just massive, massive orchids. Here's some Stenocorin, which is a new one for me. You can see the flowers here, really wonderful orange flowers, and those are right next to some Brassavola hybrids there to the right. Orchid Den is a great nursery. Definitely check them out. I really like their pottery. They had pottery for the orchid lover. They're really nice terracotta pots too, and they also have these plates that they can be plates like SO was kind of growing, or they can be mounts like you can see here. So multi-use plates, terracotta pots and plates to use. Really beautiful stuff. I like their pottery as well. Very unique. Great little booth. All right, now we're heading over to Orchidias Amazonicas, where they have orchids from South America. They had a great variety of plants, including some that I've never seen before. But plants that, the one thing I liked about their tags is they indicated the climate, the care, and the considerations for growing the plants. So you aren't buying a cool growing orchid and trying to grow it in the heat of Florida. Here are some of their miniatures that they had at the show as well. They had several Lepanthes, Masdevallias, Stellis, Trichocentrums, and some other varieties that I hadn't seen before. They also had Dracula orchids as well, Dracula Lotax, which is probably one of the most warmth-tolerant Draculas, if not the most warmth-tolerant Dracula, and also some aeroids as well. Several aeroids available. Here's a Cattleya rex, very popular Cattleya, and several other South American species that they sell at Orchidias Amazonicas. Nice Cattleyas. And you could place pre-orders with Orchidias Amazonicas and pick up some unique plants. I did not myself, but I wish I did, because when you go online and see the plants they have beautiful, beautiful stuff. One thing that was really pretty I show you here is Phragmipedium richteri and Phragmipedium piercii, which are 2 great Phragmipedium orchids, easy to grow, and they have that grass-like leaf that's wonderful, and they're compact, so they don't get huge. But speaking of huge, the gem of the jungle, the gem of South America, Fragmipedium kovachii. Of course, a humongous purple flower, Fragmipedium, that is quite the showstopper in any collection. But they also had these cute little pots, or these cute little hangers that they had a little apparatus they connected to. You can see them at the bottom left of the screen. And it helps to just dip that little pot in the water and then basically set it back up, and then the plant dries out. So really, really helpful. Now next to them was one of my favorite booths. They had a variety of very rare orchids, that some of which I hadn't seen before. But what was most exciting for me were the varieties of neotropical blueberries that they actually had here. This was one that I picked up from them that I'm excited to grow, and I'll talk a little bit about that in my haul video when I do post that. But this one I did not pick up. This is a very, very rare neotropical blueberry. They were saying it was only found in botanical gardens, and it's a very large growing plant, so not ideal for my grow space. But they had several cattleyas, epidendrums, and phalaenopsis as well, paphiopedilums, and bulbophyllum. You can see a bulbophyllum championii, which I have in my collection, grows very well, bulbophyllum medusa, and some other rare varieties. On the front of the booth, they had other oncidium orchids, and then when you kind of move towards the front, they had those phalaenopsis that you could choose from. They had several species of phalaenopsis, including Phalaenopsis equestris, Phalaenopsis lowii, and Phalaenopsis schilleriana. And here are some rare parvi paphiopedilums like Paph armeniacum and Abernianum. So really neat if you like paphiopedilums, including a fragrant paph. There's only a couple fragrant paphiopedilums in the world, and they did have some available. Of course, over here they have to have some Vandas, and then some more paphiopedilums, Paphiopedilum spicerianum. Great species with cute little flowers that look like they have little hats. Cool. Very, very cool orchid, and pretty easy to grow. In the back here, they had some Arachnis orchids, which are very neat, and also vanilla. So you could look at their Arachnis and Angrecum. This Arachnis I was looking at, in particular, they had a couple in bud. They had several the first day, and they sold out pretty quick, but you can see the flowers, very cute white, cream white flowers, and the lip is a little orange dot, almost looks like a nose. So I love that plant, Arachnis luteolba. And then, of course, some more Angrecum leonis, and several other varieties in the back there. But, yeah, they had some nice stuff. Here's some of their variegated leaf dendrobiums and neophoneteas, and also, some more species here of epidendrum. And they even had a ghost orchid, Dendrophylax lindenii, and they were in spike. Some of them two spikes. Really, really neat. That's a hard plant to grow and hard plant to bloom for sure. So this place had some really interesting orchids for sale. Now, after I left their booth, I headed over to the iconic Smiley's Orchids, where she had several beautiful plants in bloom. Of course, very interesting nursery in Central Florida. She grows all of her plants organically, so no pesticides or dangerous chemicals. Here's a cymbidium flower. It's really, really pretty. And yeah, it was a wonderful display of plants. It's like a jungle in there. You can find so many different plants. Here's the dove orchid. Beautiful, beautiful flower when it does bloom. She also had several catasetums. You can see the size of that cymbidium again. I like how she protects the flowers, making sure that they don't dry up or get too sensitive to the cool temperatures of the expo center. Of course, Epidendrum Rene Marquis Classic, and then a whole field full of sherry babies that made a beautiful fragrance all around the booth. They are one of the most fragrant orchids that I have ever smelled. This is a Prostechia cochleata, a orchid found in Florida. The clamshell or cockleshell orchid. They are really beautiful, easy growers, like warm temperatures. She had several other epidendrum and cyclias, cattleya hybrids as well, and catasetums. She also had the Fred Clarkiara catasetum that you can see over there to the right, the black orchid, and at the front of her booth you'll actually be able to see the black orchid that's in bloom. But and what else but Rinkenstylus gigantea blooming in her booth as well. Really, really pretty stuff. So once you turn the corner, you can see more of the dendrobiums that she also has in bloom here, and some cynoches flowers as well that are in bloom. Pretty different. I like the variety of plants. She has some very unique stuff. That's one thing about this show that's cool. It has a bubblegum type fragrance, and the flowers are quite large flowers, and they have that very odd lip. I'm not even sure what that is, but it's almost like a horn. You can see that there, but really interesting flowers at Smiley's Orchids. So, and then you can see the entire booth, and of course over here is where the black orchid flowers were in bloom. Wow. So pretty. She had several orchids in bloom, and there's a white Dendrobium farmeri, which also grows well in Florida, and you can grow inside as well. Some more catasetums with spots, and they are fragrant. So really interesting stuff. This side had some of their dendrobiums that, of course, drop their leaves and send up buds. You can see the buds there on these dendrobiums, and they almost look like they're very interesting canes. And then this is a Neothenetia falcata, classic mini Vanda that can actually be grown indoors pretty well. Just needs lots of light. Here's Calanthea rubens in bloom as well. Like I said, there's a variety of plants that you don't typically see, and Smiley is very, very knowledgeable about how all these plants grow, so she can be very helpful. This is a beautiful orchid. Look at that flower. Wow. That is very, very pretty. Very helpful, knowledgeable person, and easy to understand how to grow these plants. Here's another booth. This is Florida SunCoast Orchids, where they had several seedlings that they brought to the show. They have really great growing, really great breeding at Florida SunCoast Orchids, and you can see several varieties that you could choose from for the true collector looking to grow their orchids, and they did have some in bloom over here. This is a beautiful plant. Look at that. Ah, nice. Almost Carnea pink Walkeriana hybrid. And they had a couple other flowers over on this side of a beautiful bifoliate Cattleya with a dark lip and some fine speckling on each of the petals. And this is a true Alba Laelia rubescens, where you typically see Laelia rubescens alba having some pink and some color. This one has yellow in the center, a true Alba rubescens. Very difficult to find and hard to come by, but you can find those at Florida SunCoast Orchids. The next booth here is Ritter Orchids. My friends at Ritter Orchids, they have a awesome booth. Here's some Dendrobium spectabile, and they had their classic buckets to choose from, where they have really great deals. But these are some of their larger plants, and the Renanthera that's in bloom. Look at those flowers, my gosh. When I first saw this, I thought it was an Arachnis, but of course I don't grow plants like this in my little grow tent, so pretty new to me, but really pretty flower. Here's some more Oncidium orchids that they had at Ritter, and Rinkenstylus gigantea. Yeah, you could find a great selection of plants here. Definitely lots and lots of dendrobiums, as per usual, growing in Florida, South Florida, Central Florida, and of course some standard Phalaenopsis. Ritter's Tropicals is right near Kissimmee, Florida. So if you're in Orlando and you're looking to shop for some orchids, pay Ritter Orchids a visit. You will not be disappointed when you go and check them out. Their nursery is pretty amazing, and it is like a jungle. You'll see some stuff that you've never seen before. It's as impressive as this booth, to be honest. So Ritter Orchids, great nursery in Kissimmee, Florida. So I will go inside of the booth here now, where you can see the bins that they're known for. They had several bins full of orchids, so you can mix and match the plants in these bins. Of course, they had some Vandas. That's a beauty. I love the pink lip on that darker red petal. And then some Zygopetalums as well. So, Catasetum, Zygopetalum, Sologeny rochessenii, standard nobile dendrobium, some more rare dendrobiums, cattleyas, boliphyllums, you name it, they had it. It was a booth that really took advantage of the orchid lover and all of the interests that one might have. You could pretty much find one of anything at Ritter, and the opportunity to mix and match among their bins is also great, because you can you can come home with a couple plants at a very good price. Here's a white gigantea, of course, and the dark purple gigantea, and then they had the peach colored flower, and of course they are fragrant. Beautiful plants that they have here. We gotta love Ritter's Orchids. Now on the other side of the booth, you'll see a couple more Oncidiums in bloom. This one has a chocolate fragrance as well. And they had some nice sized specimen plants that you could pick from. Even some Monsteras and Aroids for the Aroid lovers, of course. Here's some more of those chocolate Oncidium orchids. And then the outside here had the red bins where you could find some of the bulbophyllums and dendrobiums that were for sale, cattleyas, Brassavola, all different kinds of plants. And they also had some bulldog paths that weren't part of the bin deal, but pretty cool. And then they also had this beautiful Laelia hybrid. Look at that flower. Gosh, that is absolutely beautiful. And very impressive stuff at Ritter, as always. Great place to check out. If you go to a show and see that Ritter's there, you should definitely pay them a visit. And this is an Epidendrum nocturnum. You can see right there. This one is actually a Florida native orchid as well. You can find that in some of the trees in the Florida Everglades and throughout the 2 million acres of the Everglades. A nocturnum is often seen. Be sure to check out my video highlighting the orchids of the Florida Everglades, where I was able to see a nocturnum live in the wild, which is a very, very neat experience. Now over here we have tons and tons of dendrobiums at this booth. My gosh, talk about massive anosmum dendrobiums. You can see that plant is about as tall as that gentleman. And they had several varieties of dendrobiums, cattleyas, and look at that. That's a beautiful plant. That's just gorgeous. And of course the anosmum dendrobiums that they can see there. They also had some bulbophyllum orchids, and Phalaenopsis, of course, are in there as well. So this is Max Orchids. Beautiful stuff. Check out that dendrobium. Those are so weird and wild. Imagine seeing that in the wild. That would be such a sight. I don't know what I would do. I'd be... I'd wonder, what the heck is that? Here's some Vanda type orchids as well. And on this side, they have even more varieties of Dendrobium anosmum. So I know there were some folks looking for those in particular. They have Psychopsis, some Nobile Dendrobiums, and other varieties at Max Orchids, another wonderful nursery here in Florida. So now we're at Sierra Madre Orchids. There are several different varieties of orchids here. Check out these beautiful plants. Of course, they had Cattleyas, some compact growing, some large growing Cattleyas, and of course more Oncidiums. These are those beautifully fragrant orchids that can just smell up a room. They're really great. And then here's some Dendrobiums. Over there, those purple Dendrobiums are really cool. And I really liked that they had some terrestrial orchids at Sierra Madres. That's a really neat plant. You didn't see too many terrestrial orchids at Tamiami, but I did see a few of that variety. So pretty neat. Beautiful, full booth, full of plants. You can see the Vanda orchids that they had over there hanging on their shelves. It was starting to get a little bit busy in this area as the show went on Saturday and Sunday, and they ended up just totally wiped out with plants. Everybody bought them all up. So this is a beautiful orchid too here. I did get to see this at a nursery that I visited while I was in Florida, and they can grow tall just like that. Look at that Schomburgkia. I don't know if you can see that flower all the way up in the roof, but Schomburgkias are known for having these extremely long spikes. Here's a beautiful purple Vanda flower, of course, and here's another area of their booth where they have some Paphiopedilums, Cattleya walkeriana, and of course some mounted orchids. Here's an Encyclia tampensis, the yellow variety, or at least an Encyclia. I think it's tampensis if I recall correctly, but really beautiful stuff. Now, over at this booth, I like this booth as well. They had some aeroids, but they also had a pretty cool selection of miniatures. Here's a Dracula Cordobae, which is a stunning flower. Got to see that live and in person at Andy's Orchids, and it will blow you away. The monkey face orchid, of course. And then here are other orchids. These are definitely big, large growing orchids. They are really pretty. So unique. The leaves are so unique. Look at that. I've never seen or heard of that orchid before. That was a common theme at Tamiami, being able to see these orchids that you've never heard of before in your life that are really pretty plants. Here are some of their miniatures. They had Dresslerella pertuso, or pertusa, which was the first and only Dresslerella, and then Asianthera nicolii, which is one I just added to my collection. It grows on coffee trees in the wild, and it's a very relatively newly discovered species. Here's that beautiful Dresslerella. Those plants are gorgeous. They tend to have furry leaves and flowers. They're very different. Now, down here they had some Lepanthes that you could pick up at the show. There were several Lepanthes growers. This is a Lepanthes with those beautifully reticulated leaves that I have just about every single variety that exists. You can tell I have a type in orchids that I like. So, and then over here they have some aeroids, and they actually had a Sphaerospermum buxifolium. They had two Sphaerospermum buxifoliums available. Of course, that's the neotropical blueberry, and they were pretty long divisions of that plant. So if that was something that you were looking for, they had it here. This booth was called Tropicals, and it is a very fitting name for the booth. But great aeroids that they sold here at this booth, and some wonderful little miniatures as well. This is AWZ Orchids from Brazil. They have amazing Brazilian species. Check out some of the encyclias that they had in bloom. And then, of course, here are some of their hybrids and species that they had available at the show. Sold bare root right from Brazil. And AWZ has several Rupiculus Lalias, Sophronitis, Lalia purpurata, Cattleya walkeriana, and other hybrids. And it's a great booth. This was a Cattleya clandii. There were a couple of clandii throughout the show, but not too many. But look at the size of these bare root divisions. These plants were huge. I mean, you're talking a blooming size plant that all you have to do is mount or pot and watch it grow. Really nice plants at AWZ, one of my favorites. Now over here at this booth, this was a fantastic booth full of gorgeous orchids. Of course, here's another Renanthera. There's classic red flowers, several purple Vanda orchids, some even light purple, and they also had huge Cattleyas. Look at this big white Cattleya, classic Cattleya. And also they had more compact or smaller flowering Cattleyas to choose from as well. Check out the cerulean color with the very, very fine flares on each of those two petals. Almost unnoticeable if you're not looking for it. Dark red, orange, and of course, check that out. That is amazing plant. This was one that I checked out that I was curious about buying. I almost purchased it, but I decided to forego that one for more miniatures, but the flares were beautiful. And of course, here's some more wonderful Schomburgkia type flowers. Look at that. Those are beautiful. I can't get over it. And to have like imagine three spikes on one plant, and as they keep growing and growing, you can get more. This is a Lalianthe. So actually, I think it's maybe a Lalia relative. I thought it was a Schomburgkia. I think some Schomburgkias are renamed or reclassified to Lalia. This is an Arachnis. I know I've confused Renanthera for Arachnis. This is an Arachnis for sure. Wonderful sun-loving orchid. Has those iconic flowers. This one has the yellow variety, and they also had other Arachnis orchids available. But this was a huge specimen plant. Very, very big specimen plant at this booth. And of course, on this side, they had some standard Phalaenopsis to choose from if you were interested in picking up some of those orchids. Now, over here on this side, this is the one and only Odums Orchids, right in Central Florida, I guess South Central Florida, but another classic Cattleya grower. They have those large corsage Cattleyas, and they also had several varieties of more compact growers. That's a beautiful plant right there. I was checking that one out. Just a perfect peach color. And then you can see this one obviously has Brassavola in it. It's got that iconic Brassavola lip. And they had, like this is a smaller grower. There's the name of that one. But, yep, from compact growing to medium size to large growing orchids. They also had some Maudii Paphiapetalum. And this is a classic cat in my collection. A rustic spot, but definitely more red than my variety. It might have just opened, that's probably why. Then you can see all these orange Cattleya flowers on the way, just about opening up. And then, of course, check out this beautiful white cat. That thing was humongous, size of my hand. But how can you go wrong? That's such a beautiful, beautiful orchid. I'm very lucky to have places like Odums growing these classic Cattleyas and showing them off at shows like Tamiami. Some more Brassavola and other Cattleya hybrids ranging from purple to pink There's a nice compact grower. I really like that flower. Several flowers too. It's going to have about 6 flowers on that one stem. And then this one, light pink with yellow center and darker purple on the edge. Works of art, I swear. And then over here, they had a booth that sold wonderful ferns. That's right. If you're looking for a companion plant to your orchids or your orchid greenhouse, you could pick up some ferns. Very nice stuff. And a very cool booth. I like how they created it. Very neat. At the next booth, we obviously have a pretty amazing display of dendrobiums and standard phalaenopsis. Check out these dendrobiums. A very vibrant green, yellow color. And these dendrobiums are very tall. So you're looking at a very tall plant in the future. But really, really special. I love that. Love that booth. Love those dendrobiums. And check out these cattleyas. Holy cow. I was totally blown away with the cattleyas at this booth. Wowee. This is a Vicky's garden. Or Vicky's Orchids, I should say. Look at that cat. Wow. With the purple flares, with yellow, purple lip. I love the symmetry. It's just, it's perfect. It matches the lip. This one also incredible with the white flowers that just complement that deep purple. And these were like almost specimen-sized plants. I mean, very healthy, multiple growths. You were looking at a plant that was well established as soon as you picked it up. Look at that flower. I love that plant. That's a beauty. And of course, here's some of their antelope dendrobiums. They had several different varieties of antelope dendrobiums. And also some phalaenopsis as well. You can see some compact growing phalaenopsis and even cymbidiums. These obviously will be a challenge to grow in Florida because they need a cool down period. But if you're going indoors in an air conditioning, they could like that. So this is Vicky's Orchids in Homestead, Florida. So if you're interested, there's that phone number. Pause the video and reach out to Vicky's Orchids. She had some beautiful plants. Here's a wonderful Laelia hybrid. I mean, look at that delicate pink on that white flower. And of course, some Rinkenstylus gigantea, a beautiful multicolored gigantea, and several Vanda orchids. Her Vandas were also massive, massive plants with lots and lots of flowers. You can see those over there, but Vicky's Orchids is beautiful. Definitely check them out. Now, this booth are two of my favorite people. This is Miranda Orchids in Florida. They specialize in Brazilian species. I particularly love their Rupiculus Laelias and similar variety. You can see they had all different types of Rupiculus Laelias. Laelia brigeri, Bradii, Milleri, alvergensis. There's an alvergensis. Mine grows very well for me. Ketiana, which I purchased from them, that just recently bloomed, and you'll get to see that in flower in my next video. I picked up a Laelia Milleri from Miranda Orchids while I was there at the show this time. So spoiler alert for my haul video. And then my Laelia Lundii Cerulean, you can see those right there. I actually have one that's in bloom right now as well, and it's gorgeous. And then of course Cattleya walkeriana vinicolor has that carnea pink color, very different for Cattleya walkeriana, something I have not seen ever before this show. And Miranda Orchids had some wonderful, wonderful plants. They also have Cattleya nobilar, which is a very tricky plant to find in the United States nowadays. They had a couple different varieties of Cattleya nobilar, and then of course other species from Brazil, including Cattleya intermedia, which is a compact growing bifoliate Cattleya. And I'm going to try my hand at an intermedia too after this show, so I'll keep you posted on how that grows. But they had several varieties, some with flares, some semi-alba, some true alba, and many different hybrids as well. Laelia aleorii, and its hybrids too, Laudagessiae. And on the other side of their booth here, they had more typical standard Cattleyas. So you're talking about some of those standard hybrids. They did have a Clandii albescens, which is always exciting. They only had one plant left on that, very popular orchid. And then check out this Granulosa trilobello. That is amazing. I think trilobello means like 3 labellums or pyloric. That's what I think it means. I don't know much Spanish, and I don't necessarily know what trilobello translates to in orchid speak, but that's my guess. That's what all the pictures I've seen look like. And of course, that's a beautiful Certipodium, which there's a relative that grows in Florida called Certipodium punctatum. And they also had 3 or so varieties of Cattleya schilleriana as well for sale at Tamiami. Miranda Orchids, a wonderful, wonderful grower. Definitely check them out. They are 2 of my favorite people, Francisco and Christina Miranda. So sign on to their newsletter to see what new plants they have available each year. All right. Right here is Florida Orchid House, a great booth full of flowers from Vanda, Rinkenstylus, Oncidium, Paphiopedilum, you name it, they had it. Great nursery. I've seen several videos highlighting Florida Orchid House at shows, and the folks there are very knowledgeable and very friendly too, which I appreciate. They had some Zygopedilums as well that they grow in their nursery. You could see a couple of different varieties of Zygopedilum, and of course Oncidiums and their relatives available at Florida Orchid House. Check that out. Just a beautiful plant. I love it. I don't have any Oncidium. I have one Oncidium, I should say, in my collection. It's a very, very compact growing Oncidium. I think it's Gomessa coloratum now, but it used to be an Oncidium. Here's some Nobile Dendrobium, some more Oncidium, and then when you come over on this side, you can see even more Dendrobiums. Now, right here is another great booth full of orchids from Brazil. They had several bare root orchids, including many, many Nobilar varieties, but you can see you can get huge, huge plants here. This is an Eclandii that I picked up at the show. I didn't, unfortunately, bring it home with me. I got a different plant from this nursery, Pista Orchidias. You can see some of their rupiculus Lalias, Cattleya forbesii, Alba, which was exciting. It was the only forbesii I saw at the show this year, unless I missed some. And they also had some Sophronitis pygmaea, which I think I might show later on in the video, unless they hadn't put them out yet. But this is where their Cattleya schilleriana orchids were, and some more of those Laelia lundii, Cerulean and albescens, and you can see really nice plants. All bare root, so bring them home, pot them up, and you have yourself a nice little plant. Really nice. Really nice. They had some unique stuff. You could just wade through all of their flowers. The encyclias. This is the bin with all the Nobilars. So check out these Cattleya Nobilar. Wow, those were beautiful orchids. I'm telling you. You don't get Nobilar very often. I have one Nobilar in my collection from AWZ Orchids, and my hope is to be able to flower it one time soon here, but it was a pretty small plant, so it's got a ways to go, and it needs to acclimate to my conditions over what seasons it is in Brazil, so it does have a little bit of getting used to. So here are some other standard Cattleyas that they had available at Pista Orchids. You can see that's a beautiful, beautiful hybrid that I was checking out. But look at the size of these plants. These plants are humongous. You would get huge divisions of these bare root Cattleya orchids, mostly Cattleyas Lalias, Sophronitis related plants. But check this out. What a place. I'd love to visit Brazil and see these orchid nurseries in person. one day, but until then I can appreciate the volume and quality of plants from afar. So great stuff at Pista. Now right here in the middle we had another grower of mainly succulents and other tropical plants. So you can see they had several rows of plants to choose from, and I don't have any succulents in my collection, but I know that they have some amazing, interesting things. Of course, in the center row here, they had Hoyas, very popular in Florida, very popular houseplant and orchid companion. So this was a great little booth for something a little different than orchids. And look at those jungle cacti that they had there at the end. I'm pretty sure those were some epiphytic cacti, but cactus galore at this booth, if that's something that you're interested in. That's the one great thing about Tamiami is they have booths for succulent lovers. They even had a booth that features fruit trees that I think we'll get to in this video, and of course orchids and aeroids, as you've seen from several growers. But great place. This is Bredren Orchids, another great nursery in Florida, out near Popka, not open to the public, but known for their Phalaenopsis. And this is the son of Hamlin Orchids. So look at this Santa Barbara sunset. That's a gorgeous plant when it grows big and blooms. But these guys right here, Bretonias, that is what Hamlin Orchids was known for, and they have several Bretonias at Bredren Orchids, and you can pick those up. They had several different seedlings and small varieties available at the show for folks to choose from. Here's a couple of those varieties that you can see here. Really pretty plants. They have super long inflorescence that just stick out very far, kind of like a Schomburgkia stalk, but much thinner and much smaller and a much more dainty flower. Here are some of their Cattleya hybrids that they also had available at the show. Check out those orchids. And then of course here's an Arangus biloba. Really nice plants of Arangus biloba. Has a gorgeous flower inflorescence. It tends to have dozens of little flowers growing on that. So they had some neat stuff. I love to see the African species like Arangus and Ingrecum featured at the show as well. But here's another beautiful Dendrobium flower, pure white flower, really nice. And then we come on the other side here, and they had even more orchids in bloom, all the way up here. Check that out. Again, we get to see that beautiful flower again dangling. Look at them all. That's incredible. Schomburgkia flowers hanging everywhere. And I did get to show off some of these orchids. This is Laelia. I think Schomburgkia is now reclassified as Laelia. Maybe this is true Laelia. I'm honestly not sure. I thought that I heard that, but look at that cluster of flowers. Wow, oh my gosh. Imagine seeing that in the wild. That would be like mind-blowing. Here are some unique bulbophyllums that they had at Bredren Orchids. You can see this grandiflorum hybrid, and then this is an Arfackianum hybrid, but very different. There was, I think, 2 growers that I saw there that had these plants, and they're really unique. I mean, look at that flower. So prehistoric. Looks like something you would see when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Just really different bulbophyllum species that you can't help but appreciate those flowers. I mean, come on, they are so different. Here's a classic Brassavola hybrid. A couple of them, I should say. They have a red variety, yellow. I think that's Yellow Bird. And there's an Epidendrum nocturnum, Florida native orchid that we got to see in the video. So if you watch, definitely check it out. And here's a bulbophyllum trushii, which is such cool flowers. Check out those little ribbon-like flowers. They almost look like little jellyfish or little fireworks. And of course, some more flared, or some more multicolored Cattleya flowers. Very nice booth Bredren Orchids brought to the Tamiami International Orchid Festival. And then around the corner are their Phalaenopsis that they're known for. They had some in bloom and available, but check out that Tetrapsis. What a plant. That thing is humongous, and the flowers are beautiful. Some white, totally white, some totally red. They also had these waxy red Phalaenopsis flowers that last forever. They're really great bloomers, and Cassidy has one in her collection. Grows really well. You can see that name. I think it's Sogo Queen? Not 100% positive, but you can pause and check out that tag if it interests you. And then, of course, ranging to these just wild-looking psychedelic flowers that Phalaenopsis can create. These novelty phals are really cool. My gosh, look at that. With almost like ruffled petals. Great place for sure. All right, now over to Springwater Orchids. This is Springwater Orchids and their wall of bulldog Paphiopedilums and specialty paphs. Check out the Paphiopedilums that Springwater Orchids had at the Tamiami International Orchid Festival. Of course, here's a little Spicerianum. Wonderful hood. That one had a very wide hood. Very interesting. I haven't really seen them with wide hoods, but check that out. That was the showstopper. That is super, super unique. This is a wonderful Paphiopedilum. Very, very interesting flower. Very rare. You can definitely tell that one stands out amongst the rest for sure. And then, of course, here is a multifloral classic Paphiopedilum. Now, down here they had some Maudii paphs. For those beginners that are interested in growing lady slipper orchids, but Springwater definitely showed out with their paphs. Now, on this wall here, which I tried to show you, is pretty busy at Springwater. That's where they had many of their compact growing mini paphs, hybrids and species, but really cute little plants, I have to say. I've had a couple of them. I have a few in my collection to date. And they're wonderful. Here are some Oncidiums and Dendrochilum. There's some Wenzelii, Dendrochilum Wenzelii, and then a yellow variety of Dendrochilum that's really, really pretty. I'm used to the red Wenzelii, which you'll see in a minute, but here is a Delanatii Paphiopedilum, one of the few fragrant Paphiopedilums. Fragrant lady slipper. I know, wild. Here's the Wenzelii that I'm used to seeing with that red, but they had two varieties, the yellow version and the red at Springwater. So very different stuff. You could appreciate at this booth. So I'll come over on the other side where they had several other plants. Try to get in between all the folks that were there. Like I said, it got busy. Tamiami is a busy show. I definitely suggest folks come on Friday where it's not as busy, because Saturday and Sunday it is absolutely mobbed. But here are some bare root divisions of some of the Cattleyas that they have available at the show. And then, of course, they have several other potted Cattleyas that you can see to the left there. Some of the standard Cattleyas that folks love and adore. They had those varieties from Walkeriana to Brassavola hybrids to just standard multi-complex Cattleyas. Really anything you can imagine, any color you'd want. There's that Walkeriana that they had available. That plant is beautiful. I'm pretty sure that's a rubra Cattleya Walkeriana, if I remember the tag correctly. And then some more of those corsage-like Cattleyas and similar hybrids. So now I'm going to transition back over to the audio from the show, as we don't have any music interruptions. So back over to the show.
Now, if you like dendrobiums, this might be a good place for you to stop. These are beautiful dendrobiums. Dendrobium Little Astro 4N. They have many different varieties of dendrobiums. I know folks here grow these plants super, super well here. Is this Dendrobium spectabile. Not sure if that's... There's the variety there. You can see that, Dendrobium spectabile. They have quite a few of these rare dendrobiums available. Really, really nice orchids. This is Lee and Co. Orchids from Hilo, Hawaii. Really, really nice dendrobiums. Look at these flowers. Very nice. And they even have a purple variety of Dendrobium spectabile here. That is so pretty. Super, super nice. Wow. This is definitely a fantastic pit stop for dendrobium lovers if you're here at Tamiami. You can see some growing in Hawaii. Very, very nice. All right, now over here we have some more Cattleya, fragrant Cattleya. Look at these multicolored Cattleya orchids, only $25. Really nice, healthy plants. They do have blooming cats available for $25 as well. So if you're looking for something in flower, really pretty. Really pretty. We'll go over here. They have more dendrobium blooms to take a peek at. Very nice. And I see another flower on this side that I want to stop and show you. Check out this Cerulean Cattleya fragrant orchid. They have some in bloom. This is LC Mini Purple by Cattleya labiata. Really, really pretty stuff. Wonderful cats. Now over here is a vendor that has a little bit of everything. So they have Cynoches, Phalaenopsis, everything in between. Cyclia. Really gorgeous. Here's a Rinkin Stylus Gigantea orange. Very good prices. Look at this in Cyclia. Wow, that is beautiful. Such nice stuff. Of course, amazing Phalaenopsis in bloom. There's a variegated Phalaenopsis Chia E. Yenlin. Variegated leaves. They're really healthy plants. Really, really nice. And here's some Catasetum flowers. Sample plant, but you can purchase one of several orchids here and see it bloom for you. This is a really great vendor, and their prices are awesome. The international vendors are a great place to stop. Don't be afraid to wade through these bag babies and see, because sometimes they have buds. This is Orchis floriculturing from Taiwan. Look at the variety of plants that they have. Check out this one. Oh my gosh. That's amazing for $28. And of course, more blooms here. Really pretty. That is nice. So Cattleya Golden Glory Apollo for $30. These are big plants too. These are not small. Oh wow, check this out. Look at these flowers. That is beautiful. I love the flaring lips, or I'm sorry, not lips, but flaring petals. The dark yellow on like the pale yellow, and it's fragrant too. Here's the name of this one for $28. Not bad. This is a fantastic grower. Definitely check out Orchis Floriculturing. Okay, now over here we have even more growers with some aeroids and other house plants. You can see, look at these, oh my gosh. Split perfectly down the middle. That is really pretty. And of course, ferns and other house plants here. What nice stuff, gosh. Oh, and this must be the bat flower. There's the name of this one. Look at the flowers on it. That is really different. So pretty.